I wanted to get, Sash, your view. You're kind of creating an entire Ella city. It's a city that's empowering this access economy. You may not necessarily be offering some of the technical infrastructure and be relying on third parties. I think you mentioned it with Hive nodes as an example, but I'd love to get your thoughts a little bit more on that and how you kind of see it from a builder's perspective.
Cool. Well, yeah, Raymond and Michelle made many great points, and actually Web3, I mentioned before, is the evolution of the internet. It is one, and it's not about us versus them. It's about the merging of these technologies, and all we're looking at today is the emergence of tools that give individuals more choice. And that's to say, well, if I have more choice, I can now decide, do I want, which provider would I like to use for certain things? But it doesn't negate the actual underlying infrastructure and the need for all of this infrastructure, which is something which Alibaba Cloud is so important in supplying. So when I look at our side, we host to IPFS, but we need to think about, or we enable vendors to choose where they host from and connect that into the protocol. But ultimately, we need to think about CDN still. We still need to think about bandwidth problems. These are all, and geographical locations. These are all things which I'd be very excited to talk more about. When we look at the runtime aspect and storing code, the user has control over their identity with their DID, but they need to pick where they want to store their code and who their provider is. So when we see one-click solutions and we see the options to, for instance, pay Alibaba Cloud to have as a storage provider, these are excellent use cases in which a user has. And we can be really nerdy and say, okay, we want the own your own data economy where everything sits in my home server and I'm in complete full control. But your everyday consumer doesn't necessarily want that. And I think that kind of goes back to what Raymond mentioned about, there's a lot of experience in the Web 2 on how to bring this environment of user experience and making it user friendly enough for your everyday consumer to basically be interacting with these new tool sets, but not necessarily realize that that's what they're doing. And that's what we want to move towards, where almost the technical aspect is completely hidden. And it's just this lovely user experience like we have on the internet today. And we have lots of different providers from all across the world that we can select and choose from. And the efficiency that these new tool sets bring mean that me as a consumer, I get served better. So an asset, I can resell that asset on, or if I'm in part of the category of being a part of the royalties, I can equally receive streamed income. And there's three primary technologies that I like to look at. It's robotics, automation, and artificial intelligence. And we're seeing the rise of these technologies increasingly more. And we can say smart contracts and blockchain falls under automation because they're ultimately distributed ledgers that are just collecting consensus on information around the world. But actually, these three tool sets are increasingly going to become more apparent in our world as time goes on. And by us being included in the digital economy, by us having these service providers and who can help service us, and us to be able to derive value more and more from the economy, that basically rises our ability to earn income. And I think that's what we all strive for, to have more income, to raise our standard of living, and to have a better environment for our families. So hopefully these tool sets will continue to, they will continue to emerge, but hopefully individuals and entities like Alibaba Cloud can continue to provide these integral services because they are needed more and more. It's very important.